All right, so there you go. We now open the floor for your questions. We use the remaining time to allow you guys to engage directly with our internal experts. So do we have any questions in the floor right now? Please feel free to approach the mics or text our hotline for questions at 0977 473 9102. Oh, sorry, there's a text question. What is the difference between the MBT and the BPI SRO? Why is MBT down and BPI up?
Yes, I think yan na nga yung tanong ng lahat. I think, kasi yung Metro Bank, first of all, when we were discussing this in the office, when I was preparing the presentation, I was asking my analysts, is there a risk that these banks will raise capital? Ang sagot nila, no. Sabay, pag-submit ko ng presentation, sabi nila, uy, nag-announce ang Metro Bank ng stock rights offering. So we were kind of shocked. And then they told me, you know, BPI also announced. But BPI, sabi nila, among the big banks, yun yung mas may chance, in their opinion, na mag-stock rights offering. Metro Bank, medyo nagulat sila. Yun, number one, nagulat sila. Pangalawa, Metro Bank announced na 800 million shares, 880 plus million. 880 plus million, and then they said to raise 60 billion. So if you do the math, simple math, that would imply a stock rights price of 70 plus pesos. So that's really low versus the share price. And then the number of shares to be issued is around 20+% of the total existing shares. So malaking dilution. So if you do the math, in-adjust mo, 90 plus pesos lalabas. BPI, the size of the rights is smaller. So if ever it adjusts down, then it's going to be much lower. And they were more clear when they made the disclosure. They announced right away that they're gonna raise 50 billion in capital. Okay. Ang isa pang kapatid niyan is GT Cap, by the way. Because remember last time Metro Bank raised capital, GT Cap also raised capital so that they could exercise the Metro Bank stock rights offering. So I think there's also concern that GT Cap could sell shares to raise enough money to buy or exercise the Metro Bank stock rights offering.
Okay. Any more questions from the text line or from our audience? Yes.
Hello,
Madam.
good morning.
Morning.
For a while, malabo mata.
It's okay.
Meron kasi akong formula lang nabasa about an investment book written by Benjamin Graham. Sabi niya, yung formula na P over E, when the value is less than 6, the value of the stock is said to be undervalued. But when the value is 15, when the value is over 15, the stock is said to be overvalued. Tapos yung value naman ng P over, excuse me, BB should be not less than 1.5. Or, sorry, it should be 1.5, the maximum. Ngayon, pagka minultiply mo yung value ng P over E saka ng P over BB, when the product is more than 22.5, do not buy that stock. Sabi dun sa librong nabasa ko. Ino-observe pa ba natin ngayon yung formula yon sa present market?
Yeah, actually, I mean, for us, that would be the most preferable scenario talaga. Who wouldn't want to buy a stock if it's just trading at 6 times PE? But realistically, the only time that happens is during a bear market. No? So, mahirap yan. And I think, in a way, you know, that book was written, early 1900s. So there was less transparency in the market. Interest rates were much higher. But now interest rates are much lower. I mean, we could spend hours talking about how high can interest rates go, no? Can they go back to the 1900s, early 1900s level, no? You know, it's kind of difficult. So sa amin, it's more realistic eh. Parang, yes, I mean, it's nice to see those levels of PEs, but there are other ways that we look at PEs, not just the 6 to 15 times level. I think, yeah, they're valid, but usually they only happen during bear market. So I wouldn't be so strict. Actually, si Warren Buffett before was actually a Ben Graham student, and he's a believer in those things that were taught by Ben Graham. But he said that when he met Charlie Munger, which is partner in Berkshire Hathaway, he taught Warren Buffett to buy good companies trading at fair valuations. And that's one of the reasons why the company has outperformed. Kasi kung maghahanap kayo ng sobrang mura, problema, usually may bear market or tinatawag nga namin mga value trap. It can stay cheap for a very long time. The question is, can you actually sit on the stock for a very long time? No? So I guess, something more middle ground. Definitely we prefer cheap stocks there, but stocks usually are cheap. In an efficient market, stocks are cheap for a reason. They don't just become cheap for nothing,
Right. There's a question in the text line. Can you comment on CLC? Despite Dennis Uys having a lot of acquisitions and good earnings, so far it's still down. So
yeah, I think the main issue is in the IPO, the market capitalization of CLC. It's quite a bit expensive relative to the earnings. So even if your earnings go up a lot, kulang pa rin. Okay. I think the main issue is talaga nung nag-IPO siya, medyo mahal eh. So it will take a lot of catching up for earnings to do. It could be good, but it has to be good for several years before, I think, ma-justify yung valuation. Or prices could adjust a little bit more. So kailangan mag-meet pareho. Parang yung stock market natin noong 2013, di ba? If you think about it, the earnings of companies have been increasing since 2013 anyway. How come our market moved sideways for 4 years? You need the catching up to take place. Medyo nauna yung market. So parang ganyan din with CLC. The price is just a little bit too expensive. Yeah.
All right. So do we have any more questions, guys? Yes, sir.
Good morning. I just want to hear your comments on two real estate companies, FLI and DMC. Seems that these are not moving that fast. And also, Mr. Wanis, on AGI, it seems to be consolidating, and then it went up a little, and then it went back again to its normal levels. Where do you see this going? Thank you.
I can just do the technicals. All right, I think DMC looks like it's trying to make a recovery, so maybe we should just wait out. I did issue DMC in one of my issues earlier on to be able to watch for, because you're right, they were lagging, and I think there might just take some time to be able to recover. In terms of Philinvest, I think it's near resistance right now, so it's going to be making a decision soon to see if it can go ahead and move higher. So between DMC and FLI, I would prefer maybe DMC for the meantime. FLI is a close second, and of course your last stock, you really have to wait for better wind-ups before you attempt to be able to jump through that, especially after they just elevate that way. So in terms of that, the last stock you were talking about, setups, they may not take too long, but that means that you might just want them to consolidate maybe for 1 or 2 more weeks before you can see evidence of demand. Because if it doesn't last, then you can just have it whip back right away. So I'd be a little careful about trading those ones until a better demand position is shown.
Yeah, fundamentally, actually, if you look at the property companies, you will notice that the smaller ones are being ignored, neglected. But again, I don't see anything fundamentally wrong with them. I think the reason why people prefer the likes of Ayala Land, SM Prime, is because they have more rental income. May have more malls, more offices. So people like them better kasi mas defensive kapag meron kang meron kang rental income. Philinvest not so much, and it's also a smaller company. Ngayon medyo nauuso yung passive funds, diba, higher market caps, blue chips. So yun, I think that's it. DMCI, notwithstanding the strong performance of the properties, it's more a proxy of Semirara. Okay, and at the other businesses, actually, and also it was quite expensive because people were excited about the nickel business for a while. So yeah, rather than seeing it as a proxy for property, it's more a proxy of Semirara. For AGI, it's okay naman. We have a buy rating, very cheap. The problem is a lot of fund managers actually don't look at or are not excited about AGI right now because most of its subsidiaries are listed separately. So sino ba mga subsidiaries yan? Mega World, Emperador, Resorts World. So it has McDonald's, but McDonald's is less than 10% of the business. So in other words, so the fund managers don't have a reason to buy it. And remember, Resorts World and Emperador are still right now encountering challenges, which is why medyo naglalag behind yung AGI.
All right, I guess we have another question from the text line. How about Megawide?
Yeah,
M-Wide.
Megawide, we feel, will benefit from the infrastructure spending program of President Duterte. The airport business is doing very well for it. Our main issue really is valuations. But, you know, the good news is I have more analysts now. So in a few months, we will be able to come out with something more detailed on Megawide. We will come out with a more detailed valuation on the stock. So we can make a good valuation call on Megawide.
Well, Megawide looks technically good with me, and I also included that at my stock picks. So pullbacks into Megawide should be taken as an opportunity to buy into the stock. By the way, I just want to also mention for some of you guys who maybe may not know yet, we do have some research product inside our website where you can actually get your questions like this answered. We do have an investment guide that can answer, for example, the lady earlier, she was asking, ano ba yung mura dyan, kung anong mahal. April has an investment guide and she can tell you what the price of a company is worth, the fair value, and where she suggests you buy it, the buy below. So that, in a sense, is her interpretation kung mura na o hindi. Right? So that's something you want to look at. On the tech side, for example, if you were to look at the readings for Megawide now, you can see a better reading because of what recently happened. And it can tell you technical recommendations, whether it's a buy, a sell, or lighten, and you can get a lot of useful tidbits from that because we air that and we update that pretty often.
Yeah, we also have in the research tab, we also have our Calling the Shots reports because I think people come here really for our stock picks, diba? So we come out with our fundamental stock picks. Our best ideas would be in the Calling the Shots reports. So every month we come out with our reports and we tell you if we remove a stock there or add another stock, or what's our view of the market. Are we still as bullish or are we less bullish? So I mean, you know, because we only have these market outlook events twice a year, but in between, paano na, diba? So maybe on a monthly basis, that's something you can watch out for, you can read, so that you will be updated on a more regular basis.
All right. Yes, sir. Please approach the microphones, please.
This question is going to be addressed to April. So part of your presentation earlier was you tried to show that the anti-correlation between interest rates and stock prices seem to be debunked by a recent example, which you mentioned, the US. So, however, we forgot to mention that before they actually had this series of interest rate hikes, there was quantitative easing before. And then there's also an observation that because of the increase in the rate hikes, the yield curve has been flattening. And so I'm trying to think that maybe there's just a delayed reaction, and so the anti-correlation will just become valid again sometime. So I mean, could you comment on that? And
yeah, I think the impact of QE, because the rates that I showed you is the 10-year bond rate, no? So the impact of removal of quantitative easing actually is somewhat already reflected in the 10-year bond rate. It's not the Fed fund rate. Kasi the Fed fund rate will not reflect the impact of the QE, but what we're showing is the 10-year bond rate, which also factors in the flattening of the yield curve, the QE, the removal, and all of that. So yeah, I mean, in the short term, definitely the market will react to higher interest rates. Matatakot siya. Pero again, once earnings season rolls in, and then it shows companies delivering earnings that are much better than expected, what do analysts do? We upgrade our targets, diba? After factoring higher interest rates. And then again, the market goes up. So at the end of the day, it's all about earnings. And can the company earn more even with higher interest rates? So, yun, I think that at the end of the day, let's focus on earnings.
All right, so we have another text-in question. Sir Juan is, after this current fifth wave in PSEI, would we enter a bear market or wave 2 of a bigger fifth wave from 2003?
You're answering exactly the same thing. You're only looking at a shorter period of time compared to a longer period of time. It's actually the same answer. So what that means is the longer term of the market is still quite strong, but a shorter term Elliott wave is telling you you're in a fifth wave. So all that means is you won't enter a bear market, but you will enter an ABC correction. Right? And so that means that although the market is still be moving up, you're right, you'll go to a wave 2, which will instigate a correction to the market. After that, you will have a resuscitation of the advance again. I don't want to use that bear market word because that will connote a very different thing entirely. So you're just going to see an interim correction. So that's something that clearly is going to come off this very extended move.
Right. All right. So, do we have any more questions from the? Yes, ma'am. Please do approach our mics. Due to the time constraint, if you have any questions, just feel free to approach the mics.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, I'll take this opportunity to get your expert advice. What is your technical and fundamental analysis sa X-Supra?
Is that Surpass?
Yeah,
Surpass.
On the technical side, it's trying to bottom out, and I use trying with a capital T. And normally, very large downtrends take really time to reverse. I don't see an accumulation range yet, so that means the rally you're seeing might be temporary, but it might have to consolidate or congest first before recovering back. And that usually takes a process, so I would not anticipate a sharp up move immediately, but it will try to be able to do that over in time. Fundamentals.
Yeah, fundamentally, the problem is, I think post-IPO of Surpass, it bought a lot of companies. And it thought that these companies that it bought would make money, or at least some of them would make money right away. And one of them is Art of Click, you know. But surprisingly, Art of Click did not perform as anticipated. And then the core business, which is gaming, no, yung using the old-fashioned, you know, technology, whatever, is actually showing signs also of weakness. So I think that's the reason why the share price is not performing well because the profits are also disappointing. So it might take a while for earnings to turn around. Kasi sa kausap namin, parang sila rin medyo, you know, they're a bit baffled as to why earnings are not performing the way they do. Or, you know, they're saying, well, you know, this is a long-term investment, let's be patient. You know, so it might take a while.
All right, let's move on. I think that's the last question we can entertain this morning. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Madam.
on FGen, going back to FGen, the recommendation is to sit on the stock for a while. How long do we have to sit on it? And is there another option like switching to another stock to be able to recover?
Actually, yeah. If you like to switch, okay lang din naman sa amin. Pero yung mga iba kasi, they don't like to sell at a loss, di ba? So, if you don't want to sell at a loss, okay lang rin. Kasi we're waiting for certain catalysts. Okay, what could the catalyst be? Yun na nga, they announced that the San Gabriel plant gets a big contract. Yon, that's one catalyst. Second catalyst could be if coal prices increase significantly to the point that, di ba naalala nyo nung, I don't even remember, no? Nung before, di ba, mga 2008, 2009, basta sabi mo renewable energy, uso ka na. Kasi ang tataas ng mga, di ba, the oil price, coal price. So, that could be another catalyst, mauso ulit yung mga renewables. And then, of course, FGen is, clean energy renewable, baka mauso ulit yan. Or, all of a sudden, they announce an LNG facility project, find a successful partner. So, those are possible catalysts. And naman, when these things turn, they turn very fast. Kasi parang sobrang depressed na lahat ng tao eh. So, we also had this discussion amongst my analysts and myself. Ano ba, sell na ba to? Or pwede pang buy to, hold, But again, this is for long-term, really long-term investors. But if you feel like you're not a long-term investor and you just want to switch to something faster, then go ahead. It's okay, you can sell it.
Yes. Juanes, any comment?
In my language, switch.
Simple. All right, thank you very much. That's all the time we have for now for Q&A. Let's now move to, I guess we want to hear from you guys as a final message to our investors. So April, let's start with you.
Yeah, I guess my message is for the investors to stay invested and don't be afraid of pullbacks. And to view that as an opportunity to buy more and to stay tuned to COL Financial. Stay updated, continue reading our research reports in the website to get updates real time.
Sir Juanes?
All right, so anyway, as we pointed out, do be prepared that we are still in a bullish condition. We hope it can extend longer. There will be some hiccup situations that will come on through the first half, so just be prepared for those and take the opportunity for prices coming back to support to be able to cast back some of the things that if you've taken some profits to be able to put back inside. And yes, please stay tuned to all the reports that we have. Like our president announced earlier, we will be recasting some of our research work to make it more concise and to the point, so do await some of the changes that we'll be doing. The investment guide and the tech guide are two of the powerful things we use, including April's calling the shots to suggest stock picks. Because some of you might still be figuring, what should I be concentrating in? So April launches that report once a month, so at least you can get the latest points of view from us when that particular report comes up. So do stay tuned with many of the changes we'll be doing for you for research this year. And thank you again.
For me, I guess the final message to everyone is the approach in your trading should be dependent on, of course, what type of trader you are. If you're more of a trader, or if you're more of a long-term investor or a non-trader, then of course we in COL, we have resources to cater to both. So make sure that you try to live that. If you're trying to trade, then access the trading resources. If not, then try to access the non-trader resources. So that's it for me. Again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause to our panel, and thanks for joining us, and happy investing.